of Commerce. We're just giving a few more minutes to get people on the phone right now or on the Zoom call before we start our presentation today. But as we're waiting for people to come on the Zoom webinar, I just want to give you guys an opportunity to go ahead and unmute yourselves and maybe introduce yourselves and ask any questions that you might have beforehand. So if anyone would like to ask a specific question, you can either unmute yourself real quick, just give a little hi, or you can put it in the chat box before we get started.
Miss Holly, do you want me to put up the screen now or should I wait?
It's fine, you can have it up.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jane. Okay, so just a little housekeeping before we get started then. If you do have a question during the presentation itself, please do put your question in the chat box. We are going to be muting everybody's video so we can make sure we don't get any feedback and all of that, so Ms. Jane Ray can have the floor. And I just want to go ahead and also say thank you for attending the meeting. This is going to be really good, as you know, loan forgiveness is really important. I know I was just talking to some other members on the call, or before I got on the call, and they were saying, you know, they think the forms are pretty easy, but they want to make sure to that they know that they're doing everything properly and that they're getting the loan forgiveness completely. So that's important. So as we step into this, coming up to the 10 o'clock hour here, I also just want to go ahead and say a big shout out and thank you to our partner SBDC, and that is the Small Business Development Center. That, you know, Jane is part of that. So definitely thank you, as they are a sponsor for the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce, as we have been doing these types of trainings for financial and getting your business started with SBDC from the beginning. We also share on our social media site. So if you guys do not follow us on social, please do. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And we've recently started a YouTube channel. So that's been really fun as far as being able to share information and get it out there. So do follow us, as we do publish the different free workshops and sometimes nominal expense workshops that SBDC does host. And they really do a lot in helping develop business plans and helping with bookkeeping and like knowing what QuickBooks is all about, HR even. So many different subjects that are really important to opening a business. All right, so as we get started too, I just want to go ahead and reintroduce myself once again for those of you who are coming onto the call now that it's 10 o'clock. Once again, I'm Holly Rustig, President of the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce, and we're really excited for our various sponsors, specifically SBDC today, to call us up and say, hey, we know we came on before to talk about how to apply for PPP. And that was back, I believe, in April. But now we're looking at loan forgiveness. We're getting a lot of questions, and we've been working with SBDC because a lot of our members are coming to us asking about loan forgiveness, and they have questions about it. So those might be some of you on the call today. As we continue with Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce, we did have our recent membership meeting just last week, and that was a lot of fun to have Paco on the call and talking about finances. We do have some more events coming up in September as well. This month we have our Gale Pal, and we're looking at doing some really fun interactive virtual things with you all as we continue to also just learn how to navigate our businesses and women in business throughout this pandemic. So we do have a lot of those things coming together for you. And of course, we are also preparing for our Fanatsu Famalawan, our big annual event as well, coming up in early 2021. But we do have a lot of training for you throughout the rest of the year and resources. So thank you once again for being a member. And if you're not a member, please consider to join. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Ms. Jane Ray. So she can have the floor and get to the meat of why you guys came today. Jane Ray is the Associate Network Director for Pacific Islands Small Business Development Center Network. That's a mouthful, but I got it. She was a Certified Small Business Advisor and Training Program Coordinator with Guam Small Business Development Center. She is also a Certified Business Advisor with Growth Wheel and Certified Facilitator for the Profit Mastery Program. Prior to small business coaching, Jane spent over 12 years as a loan manager and loan officer in different areas at a number of financial institutions. She was awarded Small Business Banker of the Year and Lender of the Year with US SBA Guam Branch Office. Jane holds a BBA in Finance and Economics from the University of Guam and a master's degree in Accounting and Financial Management with University of Maryland College. So please join me in a warm, silent welcome for Miss Jane Ray. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Holly. Everybody hear me okay? Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for having us today. As Ms. Holly did mention that the Guam SBDC has been a big supporter for the Women's Chamber. We love those partnerships as we do a variety of business management training with them. So we will continue to do those training that we need to get our small business over with the situation with the COVID-19. It's not an easy situation right now. As we want to move forward, there's a lot of things that we need to look at, not just your cash flow, but also looking at your business model and also from a financing perspective. So we are there to help. So just give you a little bit background about Guam Small Business Development Center. We started in 1995, so we've been here for quite some time. One of the things that we do is that we offer free confidential business counseling with existing small business, but also startup business as well. We do a variety of different type of training, how to write a business plan, how to do a financial plan, introduction to financial statement. We also conducted some Google marketing training. So our training right now is actually going to be for free for the remainder of the year. So if you are interested in particular area, you can go to our website to get those information. So before I start with the presentation, I want to bring to your attention to, we also have our business advisor, Geraldine Mendiola here with us. And also I want to acknowledge Ms. Gigi Miller. She is one of the loan program specialists at the Guam U.S. Small Business Administration Guam branch office. So she will help us also as well in answering the question for SBA PPP. Just so to give you a little bit background between SBA and SBDC, we are the technical assistant provider for the SBA. So, you know, if small business need any specific knowledge pertaining to business management, SBA would usually send them to us and for us to help them. So if you have any question today, please write it down. Please put it in the chat box, or you can go ahead and email us later on. I will have our contact information put down on the last slide of this PowerPoint. So today we're going to go ahead and go through different programs. We're going to talk briefly about EIDL. We're going to go over the Paycheck Protection Program, the loan forgiveness portion, and then we'll wrap up with a Q&A session at the end. Okay, so to give you a little bit more information, for those who have not applied for the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, this is basically a SB direct loan program that they have for small business. If you are experiencing any issue in terms of, you know, paying your operating expense, or you need some sort of financial assistance, this program is pretty good. It's a fixed interest rate loan that they give out directly from the SBA. And it's for a term that could be 15, 20 to 30 years. The program will end on September 30th. So if you have not applied and you have not think about this program, I really encourage you to take note and maybe go on the website and start applying. You know, if you waited long enough, money might have run out or it would expire the program. So you might want to go ahead and start your application process. If you're not sure, you can always apply first. If you don't put in the application, you're not going to get it at all. And by the time you feel that you're ready, it might be too late already. So I really encourage you to take a look at this program. If you have applied already, SBA will be emailing you to create the account portal when they are ready to review your application. So just bear with them, as you know, as the whole United States, a lot of small business, we're talking about 30-some million businesses that, you know, are applying along with you. just give them some time to review the application. But as soon as they're ready, they will send you an email to put the account portal up. So you might just make sure that you create that account. For those who have applied early on in the days and you still have not received any notification, you might want to call them and follow up with them. We have a lot of clients that when they apply, they end up, the email end up in the junk mailbox. So they didn't get to set up the account portal. So if you end up getting all your notification in your junk mailbox and you haven't heard from them, it might be good to go ahead and contact them at the number that I put it on this PowerPoint slide, and then you can follow up with them there. You know, just so that you can keep in mind, I know that we have our Guam branch office here, but this is processed out in the stateside. So you might want to just get in contact with the 1-800 number. They will be better assist you in that perspective. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with the Paycheck Protection Program update. So just keep in mind what I'm presenting today, the information is current as of today, okay? If something happened tomorrow, this all gonna be changed. So just keep in mind, there's a couple of things that I'm gonna share with you that the Congress is working on. Is not 100% for sure just yet, but that's, you know, being discussed in the pipeline. The Paycheck Protection Program started on March this year. It actually ended, the application period ended on August 8th. So if you have received a Paycheck Protection Program loan, you know, you will not be able to apply anymore. With the PPP program, basically, it just gives you an incentive for small business to keep your employee employed. I know most of you has been using money to keep your staff working, and you are working very tirelessly to make sure everybody is back on payroll. So just, you know, just hang in there. I know it is a tough time, but just hang in there. Keep in mind, there's only one PPP loan per borrower. At the end of the day, doesn't matter when you receive your loan, the cover period extended, it won't go beyond the end of this year. So if you get your loan later on at the time and you're counting to 24 weeks, you know, whatever the period, we're going to talk about the definition for cover period later on. It is not going to go beyond the end of this year. Also, another thing to notice, most of the financial institutions, they are using their online portal to submit this information to them for the loan forgiveness. So you need to check with your financial institution. I know that Bank of Guam have their loan forgiveness portal up, but as of last week, confirmation from Bank of Hawaii and First Time Bank, they are still working on their account portal. So if your financial institution is not ready yet, so don't rush. They will notify you via email as soon as they're ready for you to submit those applications. But if they have not contacted you, just hold on for a minute. For other institutions, you might need to check with them and see what are the methods for them to receive that loan forgiveness application. You know, the different financial institutions have different requirements, so just keep that in mind. So as you all know, the Paycheck Protection Program, the latest update, it actually was updated as of June 5th, 2020 from the Flexibility Act. They passed that and put into effect on that particular day. Like I mentioned, there's a couple things that are in the pipe right now that is being discussed with the Congress. So I think some of you might heard about the blanket waiver for up to $150,000. So like I said, the information I'm presenting today is current as of today. If it changes again in the next week or so, I would recommend you that our SBDC have our Facebook page. So keep track on our Facebook page and our Instagram. You'll get the latest information on that particular area. And also to just keep in mind, some of the information is consistently changing. I'm trying to keep track of it myself too. If it feels confusing, don't worry about that. I mean, even sometimes I'm confused too, because of all the things that it's coming out left and right. But we are here to help. If you need help, just contact us. Like I said, our counseling is free. So just keep that in mind. One of the things that have changed from before with the Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP, before the loan maturity, if you ever have a portion of your loan that is not going to be forgiven, that remainder portion you have to repay it in 2 years before. But now it had extended to 5 years. So if you do end up having a portion of your loan that is not forgiven, don't worry about that. It will be at a fixed interest rate and it will be put into amortization for 5 years. So it's much smaller payment than amortized over a 2-year period of time. So you have the option to choose depending when you apply for the loan. But keep in mind your loan forgiveness cover period also too, before it was only 8 weeks that they were given, and now it's extended up to 24 weeks. For loans that were made before June, for those who were the early applicant that you got in your loan and the early period of time between March and June, you have the option to elect 8 weeks or you can go with the 24 weeks. If you're one of those business actually spend all your money on payroll and you know that you're 100% for sure that you're going to be able to get the loan forgiveness 100% forgiven, you can just elect the 8 weeks. But if you are one of those that you haven't spent all your money, I know some of you were holding on to money because you weren't sure how it's going to work out. Now you have up to 24 weeks to do that. Sorry about that. So, and other things that was updated. So there's a deferral period. If you have taken your PPP program, you have up to 10 months to turn in your loan forgiveness application, right? Your payment won't kick in until 10 months from the end of your loan cover period. We're going to go into a little bit more detail because there's 2 different understanding, right? One for payroll, one for non-payroll. So for the payroll loan cover period, it's a little bit more extensive than the non-payroll cover period, which is more easier to understand. So we're going to go into a little bit more on that. But you know, you don't have to make any payments. You have up to 10 months after the end of your loan forgiveness cover period to make any payment towards the loans. PPP loan disbursed that was on June 25th, just give you an example. If you're 24 weeks on December 10, 2020, you can submit your loan application by October 10, 2021, okay? So you have time to turn in that loan forgiveness application. There's no rush for it. But just keep it in mind, I'm not to say that to wait until at the 10-month period to turn it in. Try to do it at a good time when the bank is not actually busy. You know, we don't want to all bombarded with the financial institution with all the loan forgiveness application. So, you know, don't rush. You have 10 months to get that done. If you didn't do all that, submit your loan forgiveness application within the 10 months, then you will need to start making your monthly payment on and after October 10, 2021, okay? Okay, so we're going into the overall cover period for the payroll area, right? So the definition for there's several definitions for the payroll cover period. If you are one of those individuals that apply early on, like I said, right, you have the option to choose. So you can choose the 8 weeks to 24 weeks, depending when your payroll period start or end. There's a that's called the alternative loan cover period. So that's another option you can choose. So your 8 weeks, your 24 weeks, or alternative. Because if your payroll period end up landing on a different day before your loan was disbursed, you can elect it to choose that particular payroll before or cover after the loan, the 24 period. So like say if you are one of those biweekly payroll employer, you gotten the loan on June 5th, but your payroll period started on June 1st. You can elect to choose the June 1st as your starting period, okay? And other things that you gotta think about too, in addition to the overall, the cover period, understanding accurately on the cover period with the 3 option. The other things that you need to think about, you need to make sure that the full-time equivalent employee, that's another things that you need to make sure you're in compliance. There's actually a total of 3 things that you need to make sure. So the first one is, talking about the cover period. The second one is your full-time employee. So depending on the average number of hour pay per week, right? Divided that by 40, you can round the total to the nearest 10. For any employee who have worked 40 hours or more, you can count them as one full-time employee. For those who work less than 40 hours, then it will be 0.5. Okay, it is different from the loan application time, how they counted when you submitted the application. So just keep in mind that it has changed. This is how you count the FTE number of employee now. So what you have to make sure is that you need to compare your full-time equivalent employee with a specific period from before. The different cover period that you can compare, the first one is from February 15, 2019 to June 30th, 2019. The second selection period is from your June 1st, 2020 to your February 29, 2020. If you are a seasonal employee, you can either choose the first 2 indicated above or any consecutive 12-week period between May 1st, 2019 and September 15, 2019. So one of the advices that I usually give to my client is that go back to your payroll report, go back to your payroll taxes, your withholding form, your FICA, and your Social Security. Write down each of the full-time, the equivalent employee count that you have in each one of those periods, and compare with the cover period that you choose to elect for your loan forgiveness period application. If you compare it, take a look at it and see which one is mostly matching, then you will select that one particular period. Of course, don't go for the one that with the higher number, right? You're trying to show that you're maintaining the same number of employee with what you cover in the cover period. So that's the goal. If you have less employee, your loan forgiveness will be reduced, okay? There's a number of scenarios that can go through. I'm not going to cover all of that because that's a lot of scenario that SBA have issued. I'm going to show you some resources that you can find information on those scenarios. But if you have reduced your full-time equivalent employee, your loan forgiveness will be reduced. So just keep that in mind. The goal is to try to get as much as you can forgiven. If you end up having less employee compared to one of those particular selected period, one of the things that you can do is that there is a actually safe harbor. It's called the FTE Reduction Exemption. So if you're one of those employer, you have made good faith bringing in all your staff back on board, and your staff decided to say, you know what, I cannot come in because I have to take care of my children, or I have to take care of my elderly parent, I cannot come back. You might want to ask them to write you a letter stating the reason why you do not want to come back to work. Those letters you will be able to use to support that you have made in good faith to bring your staff back, okay? So that's one of the very important things that you need to keep track paperwork. This is also from an HR perspective, because you don't want your staff to come back and say, you know what, you bring all the staff back and you didn't for some reason I didn't get the notice, I didn't come back, and start pointing fingers, you're going to get into HR issue. So you might want to make sure that you get all those particular trying to hire the people back, and that you put out advertisement, you're trying to fulfill the position, and you couldn't get anybody to apply. You can also to put that as your supporting documentation. Just keep in mind, if you're working with SBA, you're working with the bank, they require documentation. So the more documentation you have, the more protection that you have for yourself. Okay. Another documentation that you might want to keep track in terms of if you do end up having less full-time employee, is that you want to have to show all those executive order. If the executive order have ordered you to close down just like the last 2 weeks, that all those business have to be shut down, those documentation you need to keep track of too. That will be part of the loan forgiveness application that you have submitted to the bank. Those need to submit it as supporting documentation. To show that if governor shut down your operation and you have no choice but to accommodate that, to justify the reason why you would have that less FTE employee numbers. So those are the important documents. Go to Department of Public Health Guam website. They have all those executive order. Make sure you print it out. I'm gonna say this, right? It's your responsibility to keep track all your paperwork. If any documentation is missing and you cannot find it, you're gonna have trouble justifying for the unforgiven portion of the loan. So the more documentation you keep track of, the better it is. So print it out, save a copy in your file. And then also I'm going to go into talking about there's actually a requirement that you need to keep all of this documentation for a number of years. It is a SBA requirement. So not just for the bank to keep track, you also need to keep those documentation in your record. At any time, if SBA decided to come in and audit your file, you need to be able to provide those documentation on hand. The secondary things that factors that you do need to keep track in addition to the full-time equivalent employee, this is basically your total salary and wages that you pay to your staff, okay? That's a stipulation that you cannot have it reduced by more than 25% when it's compared between January 1st, 2020 to March 31st, 2020. But like I said, there's the safe harbor rule that you can use. If you end up closing your operation because of government, you just need to show that documentation. But you would follow actually it's under page 4 of SBA, the form 3508. It will give you detailed explanation on how to calculate it. At the end of this training, I'm also going to give you some resources to help put all of this loan forgiveness documentation together. It's actually an Excel template that AICPA that have prepared it. And I found this Excel to be very helpful because it not just maintain the payroll documentation information, but also it will help you understand the full-time equivalent employee requirement as well as the salary reduction requirement. I'll show you the link in a little while. So as I mentioned earlier, right, just a reminder, the payroll cover period, it could be your 8 weeks, right? It could be your 24 weeks, beginning the day of your loan disbursement. okay? Not the day that you sign your loan, your promissory notes. A lot of people getting confused. I signed the notes on this particular day, so is that start? No, it's the day when you receive the money in the bank account. That's the day it start. That's the 24-week start period time. If you receive the loan before June 5th, you have the option to choose between 8 weeks and the 56-day cover period, which is the 24-week cover period. So you have the election to choose from, but you need to make sure you notify your bank from that. But at the end of the day, regardless when you receive your loan funds from this PPP, it will not go beyond December 31st, 2020. You have to spend the money before that, okay? Okay, as I mentioned earlier too, there's what's called alternative payroll cover period, right? So for your payroll costs, you can do your 24 weeks, your 8 weeks, right? Beginning on the first day of your payroll period. Oh, I guess it covered that. For those who are on bi-weekly schedule, right? You can start on the day of your payroll, even though that started before your the disbursement day. Just keep it very clear, this alternative payroll cover period only apply for payroll costs, not non-payroll costs. Some people get confused that they think, oh, I can choose the alternative payroll cover period and apply it to my non-payroll costs as well. No, you cannot, okay? That's very clear. It was as one of the questions on the SBA FAQ. So as a reminder too, when you are doing your payroll costs, what are some of the things that you have to, what are some of the eligible payroll costs, right? Your payroll cost has to be, in order to count, depending on the day, it has to be paid and distributed depending on the paycheck, right? If you give your staff physically checks, it will count it at that particular day. If you are the one that initiating automatic deposit into your staff checking account, it would be the day that where you send out that ACH credit to your staff account. So that's the day that way how it can, okay? It has to be incurred, it can be incurred but not paid yet. So eligible payroll costs that it was paid before or after the alternative payroll cover period, it can count toward eligible payroll costs. Your payroll cost is including any salary, wages, commission, right? Similar compensation. On the latest FAQ that was issued by SBA, it's even cover bonuses. So if you need to get the detailed information, you can go on the home.treasury.com. The FAQ for paycheck loan forgiveness is the latest one is as of August 11, 2020. You can download a copy of that. Your payroll costs can be cover your tips that you give out to your restaurant server, your payment on vacation leave, your annual leave, and your sick leave, your parental and family leave that your staff has been using to take care of their parent or the children. When you pay them, that can go towards your eligible payroll costs. Your allowance for dismissal or separation. So if you give your staff some money for separating with them because you have to close down your business, that can be considered eligible payroll costs. And keep in mind, a lot of people has been asking, right? The only portion you can include as eligible payroll costs for the group health care benefit or any insurance benefit, it has to be the employer portion, not the employees, okay? I have some client who add in the gross amount of salary and wages, then they add in the additional employee portion of the how much the staff pay, and then they add in the employer portion. Now you double counting. So just make sure you check when you calculate your payroll costs, be very clear how it's included, okay? As I mentioned before, this will not cover FICA and Social Security, not the employer portion, okay? Your employer contribution also for the employee retirement benefits. So if you are put in matching portion for your staff for the retirement, you can count those as eligible payroll costs. The last one, the payroll of state and local assessed on the compensation of employee. This is more for stateside, the state income tax. So like I said before, your FICA and your Social Security, the employer portion is not to be included as eligible payroll costs, okay? That was very clear. There's also a couple of things that was go into effect that happened last week. The Department of Labor have also put out guidance on the withholding taxes and the FICA and Social Security. If you need to get some information on not, we meet those payments, go on our Facebook page. Those information will share on our Facebook page. So those are your eligible payroll costs. The eligible non-payroll costs, this has to incur before February 15, 2020. So what that means is that you have to already sign up for the services before February 15. If you sign up for your phone, your cell phone on April 1st, those cannot be counted towards non-payroll costs, okay? So keep in mind, the services, you have to set up the account before February 15. It's already in existence. The eligible non-payroll costs include your mortgage obligation. So if you have any commercial loan with the bank that is secured by your property or that's secured by your business asset, the interest that you make on those loans, it can count towards non-payroll costs. Your rent obligation, rent or lease payment that you have paid for your real and personal property. When I said personal property, it's not your TV and all that, right? We're talking about personal property. It's actually business asset. Your utility payment. This is your power, water, GTA, Docomo, phone services you have, your Wi-Fi, your MiFi, your internet. It also included transportation costs as well. So those payments that you make and already have in place before February 15, you can write those off as eligible non-payroll costs. So this one, remember too, it must be paid during the cover period, which is the 8 and the 24 weeks, depending your election, depending where you get your loan, or incur during the cover period and pay on or before the next regular bill date. So if you have a power bill that incurred during your cover period, but if you have not paid until after the expiration of your cover period, that can be counted towards your eligible non-payroll costs. Just make sure that you have a good understanding your payroll costs and your non-payroll costs. Those are two separate things. The cover period make it a little bit difficult to understand, but just keep in mind there's a little bit more flexibility with the payroll, and the non-payroll cost is very straightforward. It's either incur or pay on and before the next regular billing date, okay? Okay, sorry about that. So as I mentioned, so now you gather all your payroll record, your tax form. We're gonna go over all those documentation that you have to prepare. I'm not gonna say it's fun to do, it's not fun to do, but you just need to have patience and gather those documents. And if you need help, like I said, the Guam Sbdc is here to help you. We can review those documentation and making sure your calculation is correct before you send to the bank. You don't wanna send to the bank until you're 100% ready that you're gonna be okay with your loan forgiveness application. Your forgiveness application has to be submitted within 10 months after the end of your loan forgiveness cover period, okay? So the last day of your 24 weeks or your 8 weeks election. It can be forgivable up to the full principal and the interest amount of the loan, okay? If you do, in order for you to receive the full forgiveness, before it was 70% has to go towards payroll and 30 for non-payroll. Now it has changed. It was changed to at least 60% for payroll and 40% to non-payroll. I gave a little bit example in the event that you didn't use the whole 60%. Your unforgivable portion, it will calculate as follow, okay? If you receive a $100,000 PPP loan and you only spend 54% on the payroll cost, right? Because you know, apparently it's quite obvious, you know, if you need to meet the 60%, you have to spend the whole 60,000 on payroll. But in the event, if you only spend only 54,000, you will use that 54,000 divided by the 60%. So your loan forgiveness portion, it will be, if you get a loan for 100, you only get your forgiveness 90,000. Okay. The remaining 10,000, it will be amortized over the 5-year period at a fixed interest rate. You're going to have to pay it back. I know it's a little bit different from before how you calculate the loan forgiveness, but this is the formula that SBA has issued out. So it based on how much you use divided by the 60%, that will be calculating the maximum loan forgiveness for your loan. And if you have any question, like I said, we can answer it in a little while, or you can come see it at the SBDC. So for those individuals that are self-employed as an independent contractor or as a sole proprietor, there's two loan forgiveness application form. So if you are sole prop, independent contractor, self-employed individual, you can use the easy form. They are all on the home.treasury.com website. I will give you the link at the end of the PowerPoint presentation. That is much shorter than the regular loan forgiveness application for other businesses. But like I said, all those requirements for supporting documentation still apply. Just because it has the easy, you might not need to submit the whole application package to the financial institution, but you need to keep track in terms of record of how you spend the money. So it would be limited to 8 weeks. I'm not going to go over that, right? For those sole proprietor, you know that how you calculate for the loan application for the net profit, you would do the same. Other requirement for FTE, wages and salary reduction still apply. Okay. So if you're sole proprietor and you decided to pay yourself, you know, the whole PPP loan, you still need to show that you have met all those criteria. If you have not fulfilled those FTE, your wages and salary reduction, 25% requirement, your loan forgiveness will be reduced as a result of that, okay? So other things that you kind of have to keep track of as part of this, right? As you all know, this is a SBA loan. It's going through the bank. You're submitting all those documentation. If you have read the news this morning, OIG have, I think, issued a report saying that there's a lot of fraud that happened within the PPP program that's going to be audited. So I wouldn't count on them not coming out, but you know, just to be, it's never too safe to have all the documentation to protect yourself. All documentation have to be maintained 6 years after the loan forgiveness of the loan is been paid in full, and you must permit inspection of those documents or requests. So if SBA contact you and say, I want to come inspect your documentation, you cannot say no to them. Okay, so you have to be very upfront. You have to maintain all those documentation 6 years from that. And as part of the application too, you have to certify that you did not reduce or in terms of the FTE and the total salary and wages. If you run into issue to show that you have reduced FTE and your total salary and wages reduction. Make sure, remember I talked about those Department of Public Health executive order, or if your staff have not come back because of particular reason, all those written documentation need to be provided as part of that. As part of that easy application, you also have to certify no more than 40% of the loan was used for non-payroll costs, okay? So that easy application, it's for sole proprietor, self-employed, and independent contractor, and they are taking your word for it. You're certifying you did and be compliant with what you're supposed to do, okay? So if they come audit, then you need to show the documentation. So this is, if you wondering how you're gonna go through the regular form or the easy form, it's very clear upfront how you can use it. Just take some time to read it over. I cannot say that it's one application for everybody, but take your time to look at it and make sure you read it through before you select each one of those boxes, okay? It's important that you select the right boxes. So some of the documentation that you do need to turn it in to the financial institution. Like I said, it would involving payroll, your bank account statement, your third-party payroll services. So you have another payroll company doing your payroll report. All those supporting documentation, it need to be part of your loan forgiveness application. Payment receipt, cancel checks. If you do ACH automatically credit on for your staff payroll, go ahead and make sure you have all that. As I mentioned, your tax form, your Form 941, your quarterly withholding form, all of those documentation need to be included as part of the loan forgiveness application submission. For non-payroll costs, you have to have receipt that it was paid. You know, you might want to check with your financial institution if you're one of those individuals that you have a lease. If you didn't give a copy of the lease to the bank, you might have to give a copy to show that you, in fact, have that account since February 15th. So you might need to give a copy of the lease agreement or your rent agreement, or even your phone bill, just to show that you have that prior to February 15th. So those are the documentation you need to turn in with your loan forgiveness application. So these are a list of documentation that actually you don't need to submit, but you do need to have to keep track of. Okay, it's a long list of things. This is all actually retrieved out of the loan forgiveness application, right? So any documentation to show how you calculate for the salary and hourly wages reduction, you need to show how you calculated it. Also for the FTE, if you also have staff that actually receive more than 100,000 in terms of your payroll, you have also need to show how the annuals were, to show that you didn't pay anybody over 100,000 for the 8 weeks or the 24 weeks or the alternative payroll cover period. If you have staff that did not come back and for whatever the personal reason, you have to show all those documentation. I have one client that did ask me what happened if they are staff that have not performed and they didn't do their job right. Well, all those documentation need to be included as part of how you are letting them go. So all those documentation need to be included. If you also go into hiring, posting your job online, and that you didn't get any applicant, you also need to keep track of those documentation as well. Documentation to include copy of the applicable. So in the event if the bank have other requirement that they have for you, you need to be given to them. So keep in contact with your financial institution, turn in what they require. If they do ask for additional things, it would up to the financial institution to ask for more. Okay. Any documentation that's supporting the FTE reduction safe harbor. So remember I mentioned the Department of Public Health, the executive order, the shutdown notices, all that need to be keeping track. You need to keep it in a file. So, you know, for me, if you don't want to, if you're one of those individuals, you just in case you don't want to dig into different file, make copy of what you have, scan all those documents and put it in a folder specifically for SBA PPP. So that you don't have to, I have to go to my payroll file to pull that. I need to go to this personnel file to pull that letter saying that they didn't want to come back. There's too many things going on, right? So if you want to, just have a copy available in a specific SBA PPP loan forgiveness folder, so that it's easier. You know, I don't know when they're going to come audit us. It's not known when. I'm not going to say they're not coming. You know, just in case they show up, at least you have everything in place, and you know that you remember you didn't forget something that it's in a different file. So the supporting documentation for the regular loan forgiveness application, like I said, it's pretty much similar things as the loan forgiveness application easy. Your bank account statement, your payroll services that you have, your tax form, your 941 that you file with IRS, your quarterly withholding form that you file with revenue and tax, your payment receipt, all of that, your tax form, your form 941. Like I said, the non-pay, so pretty much regardless, like I said, you need to keep track of those things that you have paid out, documentation to show that you have those services already in place before February 15. You know, the more documentation you have, the more loan forgiveness you can achieve. It will better protect you from there. So like I said, go through all those. Am I going backwards? I'm sorry, I was going backwards. Golly. Okay. So I apologize. I think I was going backwards. Documentation that not required submit. So basically, regardless, it's a regular loan application or easy application. It is requiring the same thing. There's certain things that you need to submit with the bank, which is all those supporting documentation, but all those calculations, the worksheet that SBA have put out as part of the application, those that don't need to submit, you can keep it for your financial record. Okay. So let me go ahead and show you those resources. I will go ahead and send out this presentation to Holly with Gwcc, and you guys can get access to the link. So like I said, right, the AICPA have a really good Excel document that will keep track of all the payroll costs, fulfilling all those FTE and the wages and salary reduction 25% or less. So you can use this forgiveness calculator. So let me go ahead and show you how it looks like. Okay, so are you guys able to see the Excel? Okay, so this is the Excel that I downloaded from the AICPA.org website. It has some instruction for you, right? Different tab. This is the forgiveness calculator, will automatically calculate it for you. No need to reinvent the wheel. This is all formalized, so whatever you put in the supporting schedule, it will actually calculate it for you at the end of the template. So the Schedule A, like I said, right, your total compensation, your FTE. So you need to choose the period that probably most matching to your 8-week and your 24 weeks, right? Because what you're trying to do is to try to get maximum forgiveness if you can. It also have a worksheet, like I said, calculating the FTE, reduce the FTE reduction safe harbor. It kind of summarizes what I have gone through during this presentation. The non-payroll tracker, so all those expenses that you pay, like your rent, your utility, all those things that you have paid, you can input it here, and it will automatically fill it out for you in the initial tab. The payroll section, this is the other payroll section that you can put in your employee's name. Your identifier, don't put your staff full social security number, please, okay? Because that question was asked. It says last 4 digits. Use the employee record number if you can. Put in the total wages that you pay them. You see how it go as far as the cover period or alternative cover period. It calculates if it was reduced by more than 25%. It also addressed the forgiveness safe harbor rule. And then once you enter all those information, it actually will calculate it for you, okay? So it actually took quite extensive to put this all together. So just follow the instruction and put it together. I'm not saying you have to use this. If you are going to, if your financial institution have their own, use their own, okay? If they have the online portal where you're gonna be inputting all your information, staff information in, do that. But for me, this kind of helps some of my clients to gather their thoughts to make sure they know what they're gonna be turning into before they submit it to the bank. Because I don't know the functionality of the online submission portal. If you submit it, you might not be able to change it. Now you have to redo the whole thing again, okay? So, you know, have this as your supporting document so that in case, you know, when you go onto the portal for your financial institution, you can just enter all the information and, you know, you make sure it's correct before you turn it in, okay? You don't want to be, you know, send in all the information, then you go back and then you have to turn in this and then things get changed. I don't know how that's going to all work with those online account portal. You might end up getting frustrated. So if you want to start with this can help you as your master spreadsheet to help you organize all those documentation and put this with your file. Okay, so that's the Excel that you can download. This is on the, like I said, the AICPA.org resources, download app, PPP, loan forgiveness calculator Excel. Okay, so this is where it's at. It's an Excel document that you can download and access for free. And AICPA also have a lot of resources on their website. If you have any PPP FAQ question that you have, you can go on the website to check those information. The other website that might be helpful for you just to keep track, if your financial institution is going to require you to submit a physical loan forgiveness application, this is the home.treasury.gov. This is the Treasury website. It have the Paycheck Protection Program information here. The application for loan forgiveness is right here, the easy instruction. My presentation mostly come out from that instruction form. The application easy form is here. The loan forgiveness application form instruction is here, and also the loan forgiveness application form. This is all revised as of June 16, 2020. So that is the most current form, okay? So another reminder too, if you're one of those people that did it ahead of time, depending when you're gonna submit that loan forgiveness application to the bank, you might wanna just go back and make sure you check that is the most updated application that you have filled out. We have a lot of clients that didn't check, they print out an old loan application for PPP, and by the time they turn it in, it's already expired. They had to refill out the whole application form again. So before you turn it into the bank, go on this website and make sure the form that you have is most current. Okay. So remember I talked about the FAQ. If you have any question, this is the most recent FAQ that SBA have issued for loan forgiveness. Is as of August 11, 2020. Okay. If you have any question, refer back to it. This FAQ actually covers most information that I cover today as well. You can access this document on this home.treasury.gov website. It's right here. Okay, I'm not sure why they put it up here. I would think that they do it chronological order, but they put the FAQ on the top. The rules and regulation is all listed on the bottom here in chronological order. So if you are looking for a particular question that you might have, I recommend you check the latest. I mean, it's not fun to be reading regulation. It might be easier just to give us a call. But if you want to just refer back to it, all those regulation is here. Okay, don't go beyond this point. This is previous version, so stay above for the website. So this is the home.treasury.gov. It's easier to access those information all on here. This is a trusted source. Please refer back here. I know a lot of people that go to YouTube, go to article, and go to a lot of things that they probably shouldn't. This is my trusted source. If I have question, I go here to look for things. And if you need to have a question that you cannot find the answer, email it to us, and then we can help you from there. Okay. So let me put back the presentation. Okay. So when GWCC sent you out that PowerPoint, it is going to have all the link that you access to the information that I just showed you earlier, okay? So like I said, right, the Guam Small Business Development Center is a resource partner for U.S. Small Business Administration. We are here to help you. We provide free one-on-one business counseling, not just for SBA, PPP loan forgiveness or EIDL, but if you need any other assistance, marketing, financial, financing, if your lender is asking you to fill out a cash flow projection. So I'm going to say this, right? With this difficult time, if you're asking for payment deferral, you need to fill out that cash flow forecast to show the bank how you're going to be able to catch up if that's what you're asking. There's Fred, that's me, Jane. There's Angel Polino, she just came in here. And we have Geraldine Mendiola too here as business advisor here to answer any question that you might have. In addition, we have training that we put out on a regular basis, usually on a Wednesday or Friday. That's either startup training or business management training. The next training we have this Friday is how to market a business. And the one after that, I think we have a Google Analytics training that is coming up at the end of this month. So, and then we have an introduction to financial statement. As I mentioned from time to time, as a business owner, you don't need to know the debit and the credit, but you do need to know how to read your financial statement. That's very important because you want to be able to foresee any issue that might come up. At a minimum, please know how your financial statement works. And I have the QR code here for our website. We also have information that we put out for the PPP program, the EIDL. If you are interested in the Main Street Lending Program that was offered by one of the other financial, agency, contact us. That's another financing program that are out there for existing businesses, okay? You know, if you need to find out what financing option you have to help you to support whatever that you're experiencing right now, please give us a call. We'll be happy to do a one-on-one with you. So that will wrap up my presentation. Like I said, Our phone number is 7352590. If you have any question, you can email us as sbdc@pacificsbdc.com. We also put out the SB Guam office phone number. If you have particular question that you want to ask Gigi or Ken, you can contact the phone number and email them from that email address here, guamgeneral@sba.gov. Okay, so I will be taking in question now.
Thank you very much, Jane. This is Eileen with GWCC. We do have some questions in the chat box. If we could just go ahead and briefly go through these questions. The first question is, would service charge fall under commission?
So if the service charge is being paid to the staff, right, then yes.
Okay. And the next question is, would garbage collection fee be considered as utilities?
Yes, charges.
All right. The third question is, if during the covered period if the employee's salary was reduced by 50%, would that still be considered for loan forgiveness?
So that's depending on the situation, right? If, like I said, if governor have ordered to shut down and you have no choice but to shut down, so those are the documentation that you need to show and show them, right? That's one thing. Remember too, depending on when you gotten the loan, if you gotten the loan that you can have the 24 pay period, it would, for me, it would be hard to say that you don't have enough time to pay out that money that you're supposed to be spent.
All right, thank you. Joy would like to know, could you please review the FTE? How long of a period do they use to calculate the FTE from last year?
Okay, so the FTE period, let me go back to that because there's specific period that they put out. Is it this one? No. Okay, so those are the cover period. From February 15, 2019 to June 30th, 2019, January 1st, 2020 to the February 29, 2020. If you're a seasonal employer, you have additional option that you can choose.
Okay. Would overtime be qualified for loan forgiveness?
Yes, that's part of your salary.
All right. Will contract worker salary be applied for PPP loan forgiveness?
I'm assuming this is independent contractor, your 1099 worker, it would be a no.
Okay. All right, these are the only questions that I see in the chat box. If anyone would like to unmute themselves to ask a question, please go ahead.
So I think too, just keep in mind, you might not have the question now because you haven't gone through that process. But like I said, we are there to help you. If you have a question anytime later on, you can always email us or give us a call.
All right, Jane, we have another question. Would the fee apply if we opened in September 2019? Or the FTE, I'm sorry, she corrected it. Would the FTE apply?
Then you would need to use, the only period that you can use is January 1st, 2020 to your February 29, 2020. That would be the compare period that you need to use. Yes, it still applies.
All right. And Jerlyn, yes, Jane would be willing to share her PowerPoint with all the participants today.
Yes, I will be sending this to Eileen and she will send it out for everybody.
All right. Anyone else with a question? All right, Angelica, for the loans made after June 5th, can borrowers elect between an 8-week or 24-week covered period? The date the money would get into the account?
For you, if you're getting the loan after June 5th, you are automatically already on the 24-week cover period. It would be the day, like I said, the day of the loan disbursement, the money that went into your account. Not the document date, it's the time that you got the money and start spending.
If there are increases in wages during the covered period, does the change apply as well?
If you pay your staff more, I will give you hands down. Thank you very much for supporting your employee. You would only show an increase in your total salary and wages, and that's okay.
No FICA and withholding taxes as part of the payroll cost?
Remember, when you're doing the gross amount of salary, that you're already including it. So don't add on the FICA employer portion back to your payroll costs. The salary that you should be including on your application, it's already the gross amount.
Sole proprietorship will automatically use the EZ application form?
You need to read, right? Remember I mentioned you need to make sure you read the application form, but yes, if you met all those criteria, you can use the EZ form.
All right, I don't see any other additional questions. Thank you, Jane. Any last words? I think that wraps up our Q&A.
Angel, do you have any additional comment? Geraldine?
I actually don't, Jane. I think you got everything covered. I'm sorry I came in late. I'm like back and forth with another conference. But actually I did want to just let everyone know that we have gone through, filling out some of the loan forgiveness forms already. But again, I'm sure Ms. Jane mentioned that, several lenders have different processes. So, while they're still implementing that, we do recommend that, either prepare your documents beforehand just to kind of get you all straight away with that. But again, you still have your 10 months after you've reached your last day in the covered period to be able to fill out your loan, to complete your loan application, your forgiveness application. So I know there's been a lot of questions that we've had regarding, getting it done right away. So we're still, the lenders are still also in progress.
Ms. Eileen, I think there's 2 more questions.
Yes. Stephanie would like to know, what if the employee refuses to give a letter stating the reason why they refuse to return?
You need to document it. Did you have a conversation, do a memo to file? Whatever that you can document to show that you have that phone call. That's why I said when a lot of people reopen, they should have given their staff to come back to work with a letter and asking them to respond with a letter.
Is company insurance forgiven under PPP?
Miss, can we get a specific, what kind of company insurance is we talking about?
Jerry represents advertising.
Is benefits? Are you talking about benefits?
Yeah, is it insurance
benefits?
Or health insurance? Yes, health insurance, the employer portion.
Oh yeah, okay.
Only the employer portion, Miss Cherry,
Yes.
not the employee portion, okay?
Right.
All right. The next question is, they received an EIDL advance loan. Can that be forgiven as well?
The EIDL advance is, you don't have to pay it back. Do you mean you got an EIDL loan or the advance? The loan and the advance is actually 2 different things. And if you have not applied for the EIDL advance, that ran out of money already. Gigi, can I confirm with you? There's no more EIDL advance.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Marie's question, in using the covered period, payroll costs will include those that are incurred before but paid during the covered period, do we include the calculation of the FTE in those payroll costs?
I'm trying to understand, Angel.
Yeah, me too. I'm just I'm reading the question over.
Miss Marie, can we have you?
Costs will include those
Marie,
that
would
are
you like to
incurred.
expand on your question?
The full-time equivalent employee, it's number of full-time equivalent employee that you have. Yes, if that's what you're asking, you would follow the same time frame as your payroll cost to calculate your FTE. I think is your question, right? But then remember we talk about the period, this compare period that you have to select. It has to fit within those 3 periods that I mentioned earlier.
Hopefully that answers your question, Marie. All right, Marie says we got the loan on May 12th and paid payroll on May 13th.
Yeah, so you can elect your alternative payroll cover period to cover the payroll period that the May 13th payment was made.
Correct. Yeah.
Stephanie's question is, what if they didn't respond to the letter but resigned a week later?
Keep track of those documentation. Like I said, do a memo that you call them and they said no and that they didn't show up, right? In your employment policy, if your staff do not show up to work for a particular day, generally already, you know, that's automatic termination, right? So you need to go back to your HR policy and see what's applicable.
Thank you. Gerlin would like you to clarify once more regarding the health insurance coverage.
It's only the employer portion. So if you pay a matching portion for the health insurance for your staff, that will be the payroll cost that you include.
All right, I don't see any other questions.
There's the advance loan. There's no advance loan. That's actually the advance and the loan is separate. But like I said, there's no more advances. The money have won out. If you gotten the advances, you don't have to pay it back. But just keep in mind that we'll take into consideration when you're submitting your SBA PPP loan forgiveness. You don't get free money twice. You only get it once. Okay, so I think Geraldine have one more question. The employer portion. Yes, it's only the employer portion of the health insurance. Remember, when you guys are doing the payroll, the total compensation and the total salary and compensation, the salary already included your employee portion. When you add it on again, you're duplicating it. So just only include your total salary, your gross amount of your salary, plus the employer portion of the health insurance.
Jessica has a question. What if they pay the entire amount of the health insurance and
The whole
does
thing?
life and supplemental apply as well?
Yes, you would add on the whole thing for the health insurance, the life insurance, that I have to get back to her on that.
This is like when companies opt to pay for life insurance for their employees. So I think it is all inclusive, Ms. Jane.
Well, just make
It's
sure
the benefit.
well, yeah, just make sure too, because it's very specific in terms of
Yeah.
health insurance and
Life.
did I put it
Let me
on there?
check.
Just double check on the definition.
What we can do, Jane, is we can share a copy of this group chat with you. And if you don't have the answer now, we can always get back to the member who had asked the question.
No, that's fine. I will get back to Jessica. Ms. Jessica, I'll call you back on that.
Miriam's question is, all employer paid payroll expenses are covered?
All employer paid payroll expenses are covered. Not FICA and Social Security, if that's what
Not
you're asking.
FICA. Mm-hmm.
Jerlyn would like additional clarification regarding payroll period. If payroll has been processed after the loan has been received, does the previous week qualify to be covered as well?
Yes, it will cover under the alternative payroll cover period. But that would only means that if you start early, the time that fall under that is going to end early too. Does that make sense?
I don't see any other questions.
Okay, like I said, if you guys do have additional question, you guys can email us and then we can get back to you guys. But I will double check on the Ms. Jackson.
Angelica says, I heard that we will be using gross wages amount for the forgiveness of the loan.
Yes, it's your total salary and compensation. So it is the gross wages that you are using for the total compensation amount.
All right. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Oh, we have another question. Is life insurance paid by employers considered a payroll cost?
We need to further research that because the information that we have specifically on the regulation, it's only said health insurance and retirement benefit. They were very specific. It's not just any benefit expense. It's health and life. Well, I mean, I'm sorry, health and retirement. Gigi, would you have the answer to that question for life insurance?
Yeah, I want to actually, I know I actually recall something about employee benefits, and I believe the life insurance would be covered, but we want to make sure. So if anything, we want to refer back to the IFR. I believe I remember or I recall that any employee benefits to include life insurance would be covered, but we want to make sure, so we can get back with you on that question, just to make sure. We want to make, we want to refer back.
We do have another question. Is owner compensation included in the forgiveness? Is there a max amount for employer owner compensation?
Ms. Diana, I would refer you to that question is depending on your situation. I would ask that you contact our office individually and I would address that individually. There is a maximum limit on how much you can put in. That's no more than 100,000 as an annual salary and wages. Because different business entity have different regulation. It has its own FAQ. So I would have you contact our office and we do, depending on your situation, we can address you from that individual perspective.
Thank you. And everyone, if there's any question that was not addressed today, of course, we can share this with the Guam SBDC, and you're more than welcome to contact their office as you see their contact information here on this slide. Okay, Jane, if you don't mind, I do have a few more slides just to conclude our training today.
Okay, let me go ahead and take it down. There you go.
Thank you. Let's try to get this set up here. Okay. Oh, this is the end of the slide. All right. So again, thank you to the Guam SBDC. And if you would like access to additional training events, please do visit their website, pacificsbdc.com. Again, as Jane had mentioned, they do offer free one-on-one business counseling for those who are currently in business. If you're looking to start or expand one, they are definitely one of our great resource partners. And please do take advantage of their workshops. At the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce, we also have our industry advisement program. So if you are currently a member, we do encourage you to take advantage of this benefit. You have an opportunity to connect with an industry expert for up to 3 hours at no cost. So if you have any questions pertaining to your business, whether it be marketing, HR, legal, accounting, we have a great network of industry experts who are ready to assist. Please do email connect@guamwomenschamber.com if you are interested in participating in this program. And thank you to our sponsors. Along with the Guam SBDC, we do have other great sponsors to thank this year. Addis Trust and Investment, Bank of Guam, Guam Music Inc., Matson, Pacific Daily News, Trivision Media Group, Sorensen Media Group, GTA, Aztec, Dusitani, Gita, Coast 360, GVB, United Airlines, Xerox, Bank Pacific, Jones and Guerrero Company, Sagua Maniagu, MPG, Payless, Raymond James, of course the Guam SBDC, Staywell, and DFS. Thank you so much for your support. And today, I'd like to share that we are actually celebrating the 7th anniversary of GWCC. So back in 2013 was when we first launched as an organization, and we are happy to still be a valuable partner in our community. And we can't do it without the support of all our sponsors and our members, of course. And if you are not a member yet, we do encourage you to visit our website at guamwomenschamber.com to learn more about the organization. You can also follow us on social media. And again, thank you, Guam SBDC, for this training. We look forward to more opportunities like this. And please stay tuned. We do have other great events lined up for the year. All right, ladies, anything else to add before we end?
No, thank you thank you very much for having us today. You guys have a good day, okay? And like I said, always reach out to us. We are here. You can always contact us for any question that you might have.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Stay safe.
Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.